Today we're going to be talking about a very sensitive subject, mental health. This is a subject that is all very near and dear to us, and I want to start off the episode by talking about a very personal story that I have in relation to mental health that has affected my family. I am a mother, and I have a teenage daughter. A couple years ago, she was involved in a online bullying scenario, and she got talked into sending some pictures. And within minutes of those pictures going out, they were distributed around her entire school. And it was a very embarrassing moment for her. I know that it was very difficult for her to deal with. I don't think it was something that she expected to happen. However, a couple of months after the fact, I realized that it was really impacting her, and she felt a lot of shame because of it. As a parent, I also felt a lot of shame. It was difficult for me to deal with because I did not know why this happened to her and why this happened to us. So, we put her in counseling. We talked about it as a family, but in all reality, I kind of wanted it to just go away. And I think she did as well. Fast forward to a year after that, I was on a business trip in Austin, and I get a phone call from her school. It was a police officer, and they had found her on the bathroom floor. Sorry. They had found her on the bathroom floor, bleeding because she cut her wrist. And it was a really hard phone call to get because I was far away. I was far away from my daughter, and I didn't know what to do. And we got home and had a big talk with her. And I realized at that moment that this was something I couldn't pretend didn't exist, and she couldn't pretend didn't exist. And we really had to deal with the issue. So I bring that up because the importance of mental health is to not ignore it. I think it's everything. Everybody goes through this. It's sometimes it's severe, sometimes it's not severe. There's many different cases. But I think the most important part is to not ignore it and to acknowledge it and to deal with it however you see fit best to deal with the situation. So sorry for the emotional opening, but that's all right. If you guys have anything that you want to share that you were directly impacted with, either personally or with a friend.
I definitely was. I went through postpartum depression after having, honestly, I believe both of my children, but after I had my daughter, it was definitely more severe. I was lost. I didn't know how to deal with being a mother to a second child. It was new to me. There were just so many thoughts going through my head, and I didn't know how to deal with the thoughts. I won't bring those thoughts up, but just crazy thoughts, and I didn't know how to deal with them. So I did go to therapy. I thought that therapy would help, but from my experience with therapy, it really didn't help because I thought they were just feeding me with pills, and those pills made me feel like I was just in a daze all day, every day, and I knew that wasn't normal, and I knew I had to be there for my children. So I stopped taking the medication. I got outside more. I actually sat with my thoughts and just figured out how to deal with them every day, and just every thought I had, I tried to figure out, okay, I'm thinking this, why am I thinking this way, and just kind of finding a solution for it. So as far as depression, that's what I went through. Postpartum depression is real, and I don't think people understand that. They take it very lighthearted, and they think that after you have a baby, everything is peachy keen, and it is not. So if you see the signs, if you're, I always cried. If you see a new mother, just ask her if she's okay. She may say yes or no, but just look at the signs and just kind of acknowledge them and just be there for
Just
them.
reach out.
Yeah, just be
Yeah.
there for them. Yes.
I personally have not dealt with mental illness. I used to be in a relationship with someone that did. He was diagnosed bipolar, and I didn't find out until much later in the relationship. So I really didn't recognize the sign because I'd never been in a situation to deal with somebody that was bipolar. We were together for 7 years, and I feel like being with someone that amount of time that deals with a mental instability where their moods change so often, it started to make me, you know what I mean? Like, I started to be the person that would also, my moods would change for no reason at all.
Based on theirs.
Based on theirs.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know what person I'm going to get at any moment. And I didn't know how to deal with it. At some point, he had stopped taking his medication. So that was like the worst part of it, because when he did take it, he said it made him feel like a zombie, like he didn't even exist.
Right.
And so after he stopped taking them, it just got so bad, and I just had to, I hated to leave him the way he was, but I felt like
It was messing with your
you
mental
were making me
after that.
bipolar, and
Yes.
I could not deal with it. So
Right.
I tried to get him back on medication, get him back to a doctor and all of that, and I can only say you need to see a doctor so many times before I say I can't do it anymore.
That's the difficult part, is they have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what, I was scared to leave because of the fact that I didn't know how he would react.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like I was stuck, and it was at just some point I just had to let it go.
Yeah. Don, what about you?
My mental health episode, or my mental health journey, came from my father. My father was very deep in his depression. He had alcoholism, he had depression, and it was a direct hit on me. So I carried his baggage all the way through college. So for me, my mental health wasn't even my own. It was someone else's. So I watched him deteriorate. I watched him destroy himself. And it was tough on me because being a freshman in college, I didn't know how to carry that weight. So I'm going through college not wanting to meet anybody. I'm not wanting to make any friends. I'm not enjoying myself in school, and people don't know why. But one thing that my mother taught me was, look at your father as an example. Do you want to be just like that? So for me, it took a while for me to really understand what that meant, but I didn't want to make the same mistakes he made.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to destroy myself. I didn't want to smoke. I didn't want to drink. So I started to get really in tune with myself. I started to fall in love with myself. I started to love me more than anybody else could. So I saw that he was going through depression because of another woman. So for me, I had an opportunity to really shift my life and to see which direction I wanted to go, because I saw that a lot of what he was doing was because of somebody else. And I promised myself at age 19 that I would never let anybody dictate how I feel, how I love myself, or how I operate in my life. Now, we all can't help who we love, but for me, I'm the holder of my peace, and I'm a firm believer that if you fall in love with yourself and you become in tune with yourself, then nobody can take your joy away.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's very important for people to become in tune with themselves.
Yeah.
And I think my mental health journey definitely opened up my eyes and my mind to mental health, to address it, to let people know to get help. Don't think that getting help signifies that, you know, you have an issue or that you have a problem.
Or you crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a bad stigma that we have in our community, that if you go get a psychiatrist or a therapist that you're crazy. I definitely sought out help because it didn't happen overnight. me falling in love with myself, me finding value in life didn't happen overnight. I needed someone to kind of light that fire for me.
Well, you said a word.
And I think there's so many like varying degrees, because you have like the mental health side that is just, I guess, more psychological, and then you have the mental health side that is a chemical imbalance in your body. So that's why going to an expert, and I know nowadays there's Google and everybody's like a doctor, you know, so you just type in your symptoms. WebMD. And
We'll
you
kill
know,
you in a minute.
it can be dangerous, you know what I mean? Because people can look at that and go, oh, this is what I have, and then maybe try to self-treat themselves.
Right.
And really they need some serious, you know, medication and to get through that. So.
And not only that, for the people that actually do go out and seek like professional help, that has to take like medications and things like that. Like there are so many different medications out there that you can take. So after the first trial, and you have like a negative response to
Try
it, like
another one.
don't stop. You know what I mean? Because there is something out there that works for everybody.
Right.
So it's like don't give up on the first try. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, for sure. Now me, I'm not a big, pill pumper. I rather look at a lot of different avenues before I reach medication.
Yeah.
Now there are some people that require medicine, and I do support that. But for me, I didn't want the doctor definitely offered medication to kind of give me, like a balance so that I can kind of chill and relax on my anxiety. But, with me, I didn't even think I had anxiety. So like you said, the first thing was admitting that there was a problem. And I had the hardest time admitting that I have anxiety, or that I was depressed. I thought that my practices were normal. I thought being by myself and doing the things that I was doing was normal, but I started to see the symptoms. Like when I would go out to eat, I'm cutting my food into little bitty pieces, and I'm not wanting to use glass or silverware. I wanted to use plastic.
That's like a form of OCD,
it's a form of OCD.
Yeah.
And I had absolutely no reason to feel this way or do the things that I was doing, but it had gotten so far gone
And you didn't even
that I didn't even know that I had a problem.
why.
So how did you realize? Like, what made you realize?
I had gone to the doctor, and my doctor had noticed my weight loss, and he had noticed that I had always asked for labs. I kept going to the doctor saying, "Doc, can you keep running these tests? Can you keep running these tests?" And the test came back normal every single time. So he's asking me like, "Do you have anxiety?" And I was like, "Anxiety? What is that? I don't even have anxiety." I didn't even know the definition of anxiety.
Right.
And I got immediately defensive because he had suggested that I started taking medicines, and they were supposed to be like just mental relaxers. They were like placebo pills. They weren't even really, mega pills that you would think would really make a difference. But I took offense to it, and that was already number one problem right there, that I shouldn't have taken offense. I should have been receptive to what he was trying to do for me.
Why do you feel you got defensive?
Because I've never had anybody introduce the possibility of something being wrong with my mind. I felt like my mind has always been in tune. I always felt like everything that I did had reason. Every move that I ever made had validity. So when people come for my mind, I mean, you can come from my body, you can come for how I look, but when you come from my brain, I take extreme offense to that. Because that's all I really have.
Right.
That I can do a little bit about my looks or the way I dress, but
You can't
the way
change
my
your
mind
Yeah.
works, I'm pretty much stuck with that. So when you come for that, it's kind of like you coming from my spirit, kind of like, you know what I mean? So that's how I took it. But I had to take myself out of that, be very open-minded, and be receptive and be educated to what he was trying to teach me.
What made you say, okay,
Okay,
maybe he's right?
For me, when I started to see my health deteriorate, and I wasn't sick, but it was more so just like, man, you're dropping weight insanely fast. You're not eating. You're not really taking care of yourself. You're being very overly careful.
And that is so important,
right?
to
So
eat right and
right.
that has a lot to do
Yeah.
with it. A lot.
And another thing was I was getting like these scans, and when you get these scans with all this radiation, it can really damage your body.
Yeah.
So I was
Yes.
getting MRIs, CAT scans, and all type of scans, colonoscopies, endoscopies, and all these things. And I'm only 24 at the time. And at the hospital that I went to, they said that I was the youngest colonoscopy that they had ever done. You know what I mean? So
I feel like you're lucky to have had a doctor that did all that for you, because
Right.
I almost feel like nowadays things like OCD and anxiety and depression, just from my viewpoint, get diagnosed so easily. It's almost like doctors
do.
nowadays, like they just want to be like, here, you have this, take this.
Yes.
And that's scary too,
You
because it's
know,
almost like you can't trust
They
your,
do that with a lot of kids as well.
Yes.
I get so tired of parents, especially self-diagnosing those kids. Oh yeah, well have you really just sat down and talked to your child because he's hyper? He has
doesn't-
absolutely
yes,
not.
exactly.
Absolutely not. Your child is hyper because your child is a child.
Exactly.
You need to learn to deal with it. My child is a child and she is very hyper. Yes, she does get on my nerves, but I know that she's a baby. She doesn't have ADHD, or
Yeah.
at least she hasn't been tested or diagnosed for it, but she is a baby. She wants to touch things, and that's fine.
Yeah.
She wants to touch things. She wants to
It's
shout
curiosity.
out. And
Kids are
yes,
curious.
absolutely.
They're still discovering the world.
and there's
like,
nothing wrong with that. And
Yeah.
parents, please talk to your children, okay?
But at the
Because-
same time, you know what though? Like I feel, and this again is going to be like a social media thing, because nowadays, as a mom of 2 teenagers, so I've had a couple of years, you know, like on you that you have little ones, they can't handle anything. Everything stresses them out. Like I asked my kids to clean their room 3 times, you know, in a day, and they're like, "Mom, you're stressing me out." I'm like, "No,
3
you're just not
times?
listening."
Man,
You know what
they
I mean?
lucky.
Like if you listen the first
They're
time,
lucky to make it to 3 times. 'Cause,
Yes,
After the
exactly.
first time,
exactly.
not for my dad. it
So,
wouldn't have
but I think
worked.
we're kind of breeding a culture of kids that can't take any pressure.
Right.
You know, and that's scary too, because the question is, can you breed the mental health issues by doing that type of stuff? I mean, set aside people that just have those chemical imbalances and there's things that are there, but it's almost like you can be contributing to a problem. And if you believe, oh, they have, you know, what was it that you said? Like, not the anxiety, but the ADHD, you know? If you start to believe that that's what your child has because you diagnosed it,
Exactly.
it will become that.
Exactly.
I guarantee you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, back then we didn't have an opportunity to have anxiety in our
Right,
household.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If you came to your parents and said, "Mom, I got anxiety,"
Exactly.
say, take that.
What?
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 you got
Why?
anxiety.
You
Yeah,
don't.
proof over
You-
here.
Let me take your mind off that. with
you
a-
stressed. I remember one time I told my dad, I said, "Dad, I'm stressed." Stressed.
What?
And
You don't pay a bill.
he laid it out for me. He said, "Son, you don't even pay a bill. You don't go to work. You don't do nothing. You just come home and lay down."
But
And do nothing
I remember
else.
being, I mean, just as far as the situation at my home, that it stressed me out, and I don't think parents understand that. Like, if my child tells me today, yes, I'm gonna say, "Well, what's going on?" We didn't get that. Well, what's going on? We didn't get to talk it out.
Right.
We just had to shut the hell up and go to our
Just be
room.
quiet.
That's pretty
Deal with
much.
it.
We were in the age where if you were sick, ginger ale
Yeah.
was the fix all
Take a
to
shower.
everything.
Sprite.
And that's it. You
Or
gotta.
a dose of NyQuil.
You got the
or
flu.
Latino Homes, Vicks. You put a little
I'm
Vicks
just-
on it.
You got the flu.
Like
Take
you
some
need
ginger
socks.
ale, lay down. That's
Yeah.
pretty much all you got. We ain't going to the doctor. We ain't going nowhere. So, but I will say this though. I think that is a little bit a part of why we are the way we are now, and I will definitely say that if I become a parent, I'm definitely going to give my child an opportunity to speak how they
Yes.
feel,
Yes.
because I want to know what my child is thinking. I want to know what my child is going through, but I'm not going to feed into the BS if it is BS, because it's a thin line
Yeah,
between
absolutely.
it's a thin line between BS and real.
Different
But
generation.
let's
It's
be
it's a whole
honest,
different
though.
generation
Let's
though.
be
The way
honest,
they
though.
communicate.
In our community, we just
Sweep
we
everything
under the rug.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to talk. Like, we have to acknowledge.
And it's not
that-
normal to talk.
and-
Even still today. I
Yeah.
mean, even still with some parents I know, shut up and go to your room.
Yeah.
It's still going on. And I don't understand. If you went through that as a child, you know how you felt. Why can't you see that your child may be going through something and they may need to talk? I don't understand that.
And, you know, back in our day when we got sent to our room, there was nothing in our room. Okay, now their phones are in their room.
You gotta
and
take the
what?
phone.
Now they can just start scrolling. You know, I hate my mom.
And posting.
My life is miserable. And then all these YouTube videos and articles and people on Facebook going, oh, what's wrong? Oh, do you need anything?
There's so many different outlets now, but
which is kind of good though, because
But that's where parenting comes in too.
no, for sure, it's a double-edged
have to be
sword
involved.
because the phones and the computers are replacing the parents.
yeah.
And when I still grew up in a time where there were phones, but we didn't have YouTube and
we didn't have
Facebook.
none of that
We didn't
yet.
have none of that
All
yet.
we had was Snake.
All we had was Snake and the card game. I forgot what
And
it was.
Solitaire.
ringtone.
And that's it.
Ringtone.
That's all we got. So, but I remember going to my room and like pretending to slam the door and swinging at the air and all this other stuff, like being pissed off at
I
my
would write
mom.
runaway notes like, I'm running away.
I would put it
Really?
all. I would put it all on paper and then ball it up and throw it away and make sure that my mom couldn't find it.
Never.
For sure.
Right?
Because
Never
I
saw
remember
it.
one time I wrote a letter to my dad and I started it off with his first name and he read the first line and ripped
was
it.
done.
He was done. He didn't even. He
done.
said. It
I'm
said.
already
It
disrespected.
said, "Dear Don." Bam. He started ripping it up. Like I'm not about to read this shit. Like please.
Yeah.
So, but I will say that the computer and the phones have definitely replaced the parent. And that's
Yeah.
sad because if you're going to give your kid a phone and you're going to punish them, make sure you take it and make them feel it. Because taking a phone in 2019 holds more weight than getting your ass whooped.
That's
Yeah.
And that's
Crazy.
facts. Because,
Well, I don't know.
but that's facts though.
No,
because,
no. Yeah, that is.
You know, because first of all, people aren't even whooping their children anymore. And I'm not condoning
not?
beating your children.
Who not?
I'm not condoning beating your children.
I don't beat them, but
But I'm not
They do
saying
get
I'm
tapped.
not saying
Little
beat your
tap.
children.
they gonna get tapped.
But I definitely feel a nice little ass whooping will fix a little bit.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And
And
I think all the ass whoopings I ever got most definitely got me through the times that I got through because
And you
I could
remember.
definitely tell who got their ass whooping, who didn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a group, like we can Hunger Games salute each other. Like we both got our ass whooped. Okay, we cool.
You're like-
Bet I know. Me and you, we
got
connect.
our ass.
We're spiritually connected because we can got our ass whooped
Yeah.
before. But now it's like children don't fear the rod anymore.
They
don't.
They're not fearing it anymore because now they talking shit to their parents
Yeah.
and
Because
telling their
there's so
parents,
many-
you know, like if first of all. The whole thing about telling my kid to clean their room 3 times, and my dad said it. If my dad had to even finish the sentence, he already knew.
I'm guilty of that. Though.
You know,
I am.
like
With my
he didn't
son.
even repeat himself. Like one thing about my dad or my mom, but my dad was more dominant. But I will say this: he didn't repeat himself. So it wasn't, oh, are you gonna clean your room? It wasn't ever a question. It wasn't ever an opportunity. It wasn't even an option for me. So it was kind of like the respect has left the home now.
Yeah.
In 2019, they
I
don't really
agree.
respect the parent anymore because, you know, they're dictating what happens in the home, and I think parents need to definitely.
They just need to be more present.
They need to.
They
They need to
definitely
regain
be
their
more
respect.
present.
Yeah.
Talk to your kids because that's when you can catch like these mental situations sooner.
Right.
So that way you can seek the help. And acknowledging it, even outside of parenting, if you have a friend, you know what I mean? Like anybody that you come in contact, if you see any signs, just talk to them. Let them know that there are options out there for them. So that way they're not left out there to their own thoughts. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Now,
And
for the
that-
people that I feel that are so gone to where, you know, a lot of this hasn't applied and you really do have mental health issues, I want you to most definitely surround yourself with love. I have to say surround yourself with love because for me, for a long while, I didn't feel like I had any love around. So I basically gave myself love. And if you ask me how I gave myself love, I just started to talk positive things in my mind. You know, this is just for me though. Some people need medication. Some people need a doctor. Some people need treatment.
Or just need love from other
or
people.
Or
love
love
from
from
other
other people. But, you know, I didn't have that, you know, to hold on to. I didn't have it to grab onto.
Right.
So for me, all I had was me. So I became my best friend. I love me. I cared about me. I still do. Yeah, man, I think it's very important for people to try different
Be
things before
aware,
you hop
yeah.
on pills.
Absolutely.
You know, try different things for sure.
So I think we've come up with some really awesome solutions from a parenting side, from a friend side, from just a general being aware side. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. It was a really great discussion. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to follow us on Facebook at Mouthful and Mouthful_TV on Instagram. Don't forget to like, comment on this video if you loved it. If you had more additional information that you want to share with us, any stories, we'd love to hear them. Subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, hit that bell next to subscribe so that you get notified.
notifications.
That's right. You get
Yeah.
notified when we have a new episode uploaded. Thank you guys, and have a great one.
Bye.
Peace. Hey guys, thanks for watching Mouthful. Stay tuned for Spoken Word by Black Caesar, aka Brother to the Ninth.
On average, 54% of Americans can't swim or lack the basic skills to do so. The 5 basic swim skills are the front crawl, the side stroke, the breaststroke, the backstroke, and the butterfly. Learning how to swim at a very young age, I mastered none of the above and everything in between. I just asked, don't you ever make me another statistic. I dream of being waist deep in the Sea of Galilee. John the Baptist in hindsight preparing my reincarnation in holy waters, but I ask if my spirit is fragile in foundation. Fearful of painting your name in the sky with ashes fluttering from my wings, I'm an angel that has been through hell. I ask, will my baptism simply make me a wet sinner? I'm paralyzed by waves of uncertainty and fear of the unknown. Darkness forms in the pit of a now tainted soul, filling my spirit with a meek emptiness I cannot bear the light. Faith in ungodly prophets has been reduced to smoke in the mason jar type salvation. I'm talking anti-mustard seed derived faith. Diverting from the path of Job, I can hold tight to my convictions no longer. Climbing vacant mountains, boasting about past triumphs, when at the base of this momentous marvel lies my pitfalls, inconsistency, and undefinable depths of iniquity. Focused on eternal cleansing, it's tough to find space for peace. My closet is a little junky, broken to shards of indecency. I tend to stay detached from spiritual connections. It's easier to keep the pieces together. My mind is a never-ending spiral of perplexity, coated with vain contradictions and immersed in the foul scent of doubt. I've engraved my sorrows into meaningless forevers and forced a hand of solitude that dare not be played again, buried to the neck in black sand. This same sand fills the hourglass next to my deathbed. It's nearing dusk while the sun sets, seemingly synchronizing my demise. I found a comrade in my loneliness. The obscure indifference created in your absence is manifested in Mariana Trench in my soul. I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I imagine this is how Job felt. In the wilderness of no direction, sitting in the bed of broken clay and ashes, I too was stripped of my worldly possessions. Forced to scrape away my sorrows, urged to curse God's name. Revelations later, I asked, where were you in the apex of my misery? God spoke to Job in chapter 38. He spoke. Who is this who darkens my counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Lord, it was never your power in question. And it's grateful you taught me how to swim.